Chapter 1961. Take care of one's pride. Chapter 1961. Take care of one's pride. In the vast region, countless gazes landed on Yi Futian. He did not know how to concoct pills. Also, Yi Futian claimed that he had only been concocting pills for a short while. Was he toying with alchemy divine palace? He stood there speechless. As an alchemy master, he naturally could tell the grade of a pill. He could sense what grade the pill that Yi Futian concocted was at. The pill that Yi Futian concocted was most likely on par with the one that he came up with. However, Yi Futian was only a fourth-tier Renhuang. Could it be that this fellow had a flawless divine wheel, and his way was without any blemish? On top of there were many other cultivators who were mavens present. From a glance, they could tell that Yi Futian's skill of refining pills was extraordinary. Now that Yi Futian had demonstrated his skill, it was indeed proven that none of the alchemy masters present at the alchemy conference were comparable to him. Even Grandmaster he would most likely pale into insignificance when compared to Yi Futian. Since when did such a young alchemy grandmaster arise? Concocting pills was a time-consuming process. It was rare to encounter a young and skillful alchemy grandmaster. Chi Mu of Alchemy Divine Palace was an exception. His talent was 1 in a million. However, yet another exceptional alchemy master had appeared now. All the cultivators, who were proficient in concocting pills, from Donghua domain were gathered in Alchemy Divine Palace? If that was the case, how about this youth? Let alone the cultivators of Alchemy Divine Palace, even the cultivators from Taiyuan continent, who accompanied Alchemy Emperor on his trip, were stunned. Before this, they had asked Yi Futian before whether or not he was proficient in concocting pills. Yi Futian told them that he had a rudimentary understanding of the matter and wasn't really good at it. Was this what he meant by being not very good at it? Yi Futian merely concocted a pill casually, and the result was a pill of this grade. Was this what he called a rudimentary understanding? How would those elderly cultivators, who had devoted their lives to concocting pills, think of this? Yi Futian was the heir of Supreme Deity Donglai, a cultivator who had trained on Eastern Deity Island. The cultivators from Taiyuan continent thought of Yi Futian's identity. The descendant of Supreme Deity Donglai had personally led him here. From the looks of it, their judgment of Yi Futian had been clouded due to their prejudice towards him. If Yi Futian was really an ordinary cultivator, would Goddess Donglai have brought him here? Moreover, Goddess Donglai was prepared to introduce him to the Millet Emperor. Based on the current situation, it seemed like they had come prepared. Of course, the cultivators from Taiyuan continent would not tell the rest Yi Futian's identity. The cultivators of Alchemy Divine Palace were pompous, and they looked down on other alchemy factions in the Donghua domain. They disdained even the tower of the Alchemy Emperor. Yi Futian's action this time was considered delivering a lesson to them. The cultivators of Alchemy Divine Palace ought to know that their place was not the only place where powerful alchemy grandmasters could be found. "Who are you?" asked Chi Mu from Alchemy Divine Palace while looking at Yi Futian. Chi Mu's temperament was good, and he was well-mannered. He didn't reveal any hint of malice. He was purely curious about Yi Futian. Yi Futian visited the place along with the disciples of Alchemy Emperor. It would be common if Yi Futian said that he was the heir of Alchemy Emperor. However, Yi Futian had denied that. If so, what was his identity? With Yi Futian's skill in concocting pills, most likely very few people could contend with him even in Alchemy Divine Palace. "I'm Yi Lionian, a fledgling alchemy master," Yi Futian responded with a smile. "Yi Lionian," Chi Mu mumbled. "You must be joking. With such superb skills in refining pills, I am sure you must have devoted yourself in this area for many years. Alchemy Emperor is a top alchemy grandmaster whom I have always admired. It is normal for the Emperor to have an heir like you." Chi Mu's words were aimed to feel Yi Futian out. Chi Mu held on to his speculation that Yi Futian was a disciple of Alchemy Emperor. It was just that Yi Futian did not admit it before this. Hence, when Chi Mu talked to Yi Futian this time, his eyes were locked onto Yi Futian's. Chi Mu wanted to see how Yi Futian would reply to him. "Regardless of whether you believe or not, I have indeed only started concocting pills for a short period of time. I came in contact with the art just a few years ago. I am also not a disciple of Alchemy Emperor, Yi Futian replied with a smile. He knew that the other party was curious, but he did not reveal anything, leaving them to their own speculation. Are you interested in joining Alchemy Divine Palace to cultivate? Chimu asked. Now, in the Donghua domain, Alchemy Divine Palace is considered the top holy land for concocting pills. In Alchemy Divine Palace, your pill concocting ability will be fully developed. Yi Futian revealed a strange look. Was this Chi Mu inviting impressive alchemy masters to join Alchemy Divine Palace whenever he came across them? Before this, he had extended him an invitation. Now Chi Mu was also doing the same. Yi Futian felt that the way Chi Mu phrased his invitation sounded weird. Alchemy Divine Palace would fully develop his talent? Chi Mu, from your tone, you make it seem as though that Alchemy Divine Palace has cultivated many more alchemy masters with superior abilities compared to him, said Lin Qiu with a smile beside them. Fully develop his talent? How many people in Alchemy Divine Palace have pill concocting ability that can compare to him? Why does he need to join Alchemy Divine Palace? Lin Qiu already knew Yi Futian's identity. His previous speculation had not been off the mark. Yi Futian was not from the Tower of the Alchemy Emperor on the Taiyuan continent. He was from Eastern Deity Island in the Penglai continent. That maiden was the descendant of Supreme Deity Donglai. Yi Futian might be her disciple and might have received the teachings passed down from Supreme Deity Donglai. Supreme Deity Donglai was the top alchemy grandmaster in the Donghua domain back when he was alive. Would his heir need to be enrolled in Alchemy Divine Palace to learn the art of concocting pills? This Chi Mu actually claimed that Yi Futian should join Alchemy Divine Palace not to waste his talents. Only God knew where Chi Mu gained his confidence from. Even up until this moment, Chi Mu seemed to bear an air of superiority. He believed that the Alchemy Divine Palace was the best holy land for concocting pills in the Donghua domain. Hence, all the powerful alchemy grandmasters had to join the palace. Aside from Alchemy Divine Palace, it is very difficult for other forces to help him improve his pill concocting ability to the next level, Chi Mu calmly replied, ignoring the mocking tone in Lin Qiu's voice. He looked at Yi Futian and said, although not many people in Alchemy Divine Palace have greater attainments in concocting pills compared to you, we still have many incredible alchemy grandmasters. You can exchange ideas with them. In the future, we can also regularly have discussions on the methods of concocting pills. On the ancient mountain, an elder who had come here said, Yi Lionian, if you are willing to join Alchemy Divine Palace, we can provide you with the best resources for cultivation. We can even ask the palace lord to personally instruct you in concocting pills. How about it? Yi Futian looked at the other party. These people were courteous. Yi Futian originally had concocted the pill to challenge Alchemy Divine Palace. Yet, after seeing the level of his pill concocting ability, they had actually offered him invitations one after another. They wanted him to join Alchemy Divine Palace to cultivate and had not viewed him with animosity. Most of the time, their animosity towards each other was due to their different stances. If Yi Futian joined Alchemy Divine Palace, he would naturally be on the same side as the other party. Although the Tower of the Alchemy Emperor has Alchemy Emperor to hold the fort, it is still not considered the true holy land for concocting pills. It lacks the resources. Alchemy Divine Palace is the most suitable place for you. With your level of pill concocting ability, you should not miss this opportunity, another person said. This caused the people in the space to reveal strange expressions. Their academic discussion had descended into poaching Yi Futian. They wanted to undermine the members of Alchemy Emperor and get Yi Futian to join their Alchemy Divine Palace to cultivate. Everyone, your suggestions are quite moving. However, I am not that interested, Yi Futian replied with a smile. He rejected the other party's invitation directly. Why would he join Alchemy Divine Palace to cultivate? Setting aside his relationship with Alchemy Emperor, Yi Futian was originally from Eastern Deity Island. He was the Eastern Deity Island's second island lord and the heir of Supreme Deity Donglai. How could he join Alchemy Divine Palace? The members of Alchemy Divine Palace were also somewhat full of themselves and looked too highly upon themselves. They believed that Alchemy Divine Palace was the most powerful holy land for concocting pills. It was as though missing this opportunity to join them would be a huge loss. He might learn many things if he joined Alchemy Divine Palace, but Yi Futian did not believe that he had the energy to focus on this. The inheritance that Supreme Deity Donglai gave him was already sufficient. Yi Futian rejected Qi Mu's offer. It seemed like Alchemy Divine Palace had failed to recruit him. Qi Mu saw that Yi Futian had rejected them. He looked at Yi Futian and asked, "Since that is the case, please concoct your best pill, sir. Why don't we compare our work?" Since Yi Futian was unwilling to join Alchemy Divine Palace, he was here to stir up trouble and to prevent their alchemy conference from wrapping up. If so, Qi Mu would make his move and compare his work with Yi Futian. Countless gazes looked over in their direction. Many people revealed excited looks. The top alchemy genius figure of Alchemy Divine Palace was personally stepping out. What grade would the pill he concocted be at? If Yi Futian went all in, how would the pills that the two of them concocted compare? However, Yi Futian merely cast an indifferent glance at the other party and answered, "I'm not interested." As he said this, he immediately turned and left. Before this, he was forced to concoct pills by the other party. To appease them, he had to do it. Now, Qi Mu wanted to compare works with him? When would this end? Qi Mu frowned. Numerous cultivators from Alchemy Divine Palace unleashed their auras. Lin Qiu and his group took a step forward. As he scanned the crowd, he said, "What's happening now? Could it be that the cultivators of Alchemy Divine Palace are bad at alchemy and are now prepared to forcefully make others stay?" "Let them leave," ordered the elder of Alchemy Divine Palace, who stood on the ancient mountain. Immediately, many cultivators retracted their auras and allowed Yi Futian's group to leave. They had no reason to keep Yi Futian and his group around today. Countless people were watching the cultivators of Alchemy Divine Palace. If they forcefully made Yi Futian stay, they would only bring shame onto Alchemy Divine Palace. "Let's go," Yi Futian said to his companions. His group turned around and walked towards the exit. "Is your ability in concocting pills really strong? Aren't they weak?" asked Beigong Shuang innocently as they were leaving. When the crowd heard her comment, countless cultivators had their eyes dead set on her. Those alchemy grandmasters itched to seize Beigong Shuang and give her a good beating. Didn't this girl understand the etiquette of taking care of the pride of others? Why would she humiliate them before she left? Yi Futian glanced at Beigong Shuang, speechless. "In the future, I shall visit you. We can learn the way of alchemy from each other." Qi Mu's voice sounded from afar and was transmitted into Yi Futian's ears. Clearly, the other party did not plan to leave this be. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Yi Futian and his group continued walking around Wangdu. They then returned to their inn. However, according to Lin Qiu, they had only covered a small part of Wangdu. Yi Futian and his group continued walking around Wangdu. They then returned to their inn. However, according to Lin Qiu, they had only covered a small part of Wangdu. As the main city of the Dongxiao continent, Wangdu was expansive and had countless cultivators. Even so, news of Yi Futian's group had spread very quickly. It was for no other reason than the Alchemy Conference of Alchemy Divine Palace receiving a lot of attention. Everything that occurred during the conference would naturally be known far and wide very quickly. Soon, it was being discussed in taverns big and small. Many people now knew that Alchemy Emperor had also come to Wangdu. Alchemy Emperor's descendants had also come into conflict with an Alchemy Grandmaster of Alchemy Divine Palace and even managed to suppress him. Some people said that Alchemy Emperor had done this on purpose, sending people to disturb the Alchemy Conference to prove his pill concocting ability. However, some people also believed that Alchemy Emperor was above doing so and that the members of Alchemy Divine Palace had spoken out arrogantly in the first place. They had boasted that most of the talented alchemy masters in the Donghua domain were from Alchemy Divine Palace. They ignored the existence of Alchemy Emperor and the other alchemy forces. That was why the disciple of Alchemy Emperor could not take it. However, Alchemy Emperor did not know about this. While Yi Futian was out strolling, Alchemy Emperor and Goddess Donglai went to Wangshan Watchtower to visit the master there, Millet Emperor. Ordinary people would naturally not be able to meet the Millet Emperor easily, but Goddess Donglai could. She was the heir of Supreme Deity Donglai. Supreme Deity Donglai and Millet Emperor were good friends. Many years ago, when Goddess Donglai was still young, she had been close with Millet Emperor and called him uncle. Millet Emperor would always embrace her. Their relationship was naturally intimate. It was just that after things occurred to Supreme Deity Donglai, Goddess Donglai had always remained in seclusion on Eastern Deity Island. Many years had passed, and their relationship had grown distant. After Alchemy Emperor and Goddess Donglai returned, many people came to see them in the palace. The number of people who came grew. Many of them were renowned figures of Wangdu. Alchemy Emperor could only receive them. After that, only did he know that Yi Futian's group had stirred up trouble in Wangdu and that they had directly offended Alchemy Divine Palace. This made him speechless. Right now, in the banquet area in the palace, an elder smiled at Alchemy Emperor and said, "Now, Alchemy Divine Palace is the largest alchemy force in Wangdu. Alchemy grandmasters are being drawn to it. It is difficult for the cultivators from the outside to obtain even a pill from them. This has caused Alchemy Divine Palace to grow more and more arrogant. Now that Alchemy Emperor has come, it is good for someone to knock them down a few notches. They should understand that Alchemy Divine Palace is not the only alchemy force." This cultivator was clearly dissatisfied with Alchemy Divine Palace. After hearing this, Alchemy Emperor was somewhat speechless. It seemed that he had been dragged into this mess. Many people believed that Yi Futian was intentionally sent by the Alchemy Emperor to stir up trouble in Alchemy Divine Palace and sully their image. That is right. That person proclaimed himself the top alchemy master after Supreme Deity Donglai and is even more arrogant. Alchemy Emperor is the heir of Supreme Deity Donglai. Your ability will certainly not be weaker than his, said another person. This was all just fancy words to appease Alchemy Emperor. However, in reality, the Alchemy Emperor knew his own strength. Rumor has it that the person in Alchemy Divine Palace was already aiming to break through to the next plane. That person's pill concocting ability was extremely proficient. In terms of level, it should be above that of Alchemy Emperors. After all, many years ago, the other party had been an incredible alchemy grandmaster. Alchemy Emperor naturally did not take such praise to heart. "Everyone, there seems to be a misunderstanding. Liaonian is neither my disciple nor an alchemy master of the Tower of the Alchemy Emperor. I did not send him to the alchemy conference of Alchemy Divine Palace. This matter should just be a coincidence," Alchemy Emperor explained. Such an explanation was meaningless as those who had misunderstood would still misunderstand. Nevertheless, Alchemy Emperor was not so free to find fault with Alchemy Divine Palace on this trip and stir up trouble. "He isn't," someone said as they revealed a strange expression. He looked at Alchemy Emperor and said, "Then, who brought up such an outstanding and monstrous alchemy master?" Alchemy Emperor would not lie to them on this. If Yi Liaonian were his disciple or cultivated in the Tower of the Alchemy Emperor, Alchemy Emperor would not deny it. "Regarding that, I will not say anything on the matter. Please understand," Alchemy Emperor said as he saluted with his fists. This caused the crowd to be even more curious. Could Yi Liaonian's master be one of the powerful alchemy grandmasters who kept low profiles? They could not figure out who it could be. "Could we meet little friend Yi?" someone asked with a smile. "I'll ask him," Alchemy Emperor replied as he instructed a person beside him. The person left and, not long after, Yi Futian's group arrived. Yi Futian glanced at the group of people before him. They were all senior figures with upper-level Renhuang cultivation. "Seniors, Junior Yi Liaonian bids you all well," Yi Futian said with a smile as he bowed politely. Although Yi Futian's ability was not below that of many senior figures, he was still a junior figure. He should not forego the necessary courtesies. "He has a good temperament," someone praised when he saw Yi Futian. Yi Futian was dressed in white robes and had white hair. He appeared extraordinarily handsome. Yi Futian's temperament alone gave off an outstanding vibe. One could tell that he was a prominent figure at a glance. "He is such a prominent figure. He must be from a powerful background. I wonder which master managed to cultivate such an extraordinary talent, someone else praised. He was trying to dig up Yi Futian's identity. Yi Futian indeed gave off such a vibe. With such temperament, he appeared to be a descendant of a powerful clan. Based on Alchemy Emperor's tone, that should be the case. Seniors, all of you are praising me too highly, Yi Futian replied with a smile as he greeted them back. He similarly did not answer the other party's question. Little friend Ye's alchemy techniques are outstanding. Even Grandmaster Z he was rendered speechless, someone said with a smile. Many people claimed that when little friend Yi presented your pill, no one from Alchemy Divine Palace could say a word. I can imagine how their expressions were like then. What grade was the pill that little friend Yi concocted? It was a middle grade pill. After all, my cultivation is at the middle-level Renhuang plane, Yi Futian answered with a smile. The other party smiled and nodded his head slightly. They had all heard that although the pill he had concocted was only a middle-grade pill, it was a flawless pill of the Great Path. It was just that they had not witnessed it themselves. At that moment, a person traversed the sky nearby and immediately landed on the cliff outside the palace. Yi Futian turned to look at him. The person who had arrived saluted with his fists and said, "A representative of Heavenly Battle Palace greets Senior Alchemy Emperor." He was from Heavenly Battle Palace. Yi Futian recalled the place with the extremely magnificent law battle area that they had passed by yesterday. They were the top force in Wangdu, Heavenly Battle Palace. Yi Futian never imagined that their representative would come here. The position of this force in Wangdu was not below that of Alchemy Divine Palace. "Please come in," Alchemy Emperor said as he looked outside. The person immediately crossed the sky and came over. "What brings Heavenly Battle Palace here?" Alchemy Emperor asked. With Heavenly Battle Palace's position, they did not need to flatter him. "We have come to seek Renhuang Yi and Lin Qiu," the person who arrived said. Yi Futian and Lin Qiu beside him felt somewhat surprised. Heavenly Battle Palace was looking for them? Alchemy Emperor looked at Yi Futian. With a smile, he said, "You all should chat." Yi Futian asked, "What business do you have with me?" The other party answered, "Heavenly Battle Palace has heard that recently many cultivators from the neighboring continents have come to Wangdu. Hence, we wanted to invite everyone to pay us a visit. Aside from that, we have also invited many forces from Wangdu. Coincidentally, there will be a few exciting battles taking place in Heavenly Battle Palace. Therefore, we intentionally came over to invite Renhuang Yi, Dragon Submission Villa, as well as everyone from Taiyuan continent to come over to Heavenly Battle Palace to spectate the battles. Heavenly Battle Palace is a place for law battles and regularly becomes a place to meet people. Cultivators love to battle. With such conditions, Heavenly Battle Palace is a suitable place to meet people," Lin Qiu explained to Yi Futian through transmitted thought. Lin Qiu then smiled and said, "All right, since Heavenly Battle Palace has come especially to invite us over, we will naturally oblige. Thank you for coming all this way." As Lin Qiu said this, he looked over at Yi Futian, who was beside him, and asked, "Shall we go together?" "All right, let's go over to take a look," Yi Futian said. Since the other party had come all this way to invite them over, he would naturally oblige. "Everyone, let's go," the other party said as he gestured. Yi Futian's group walked out. The member from Heavenly Battle Palace bowed slightly at Alchemy Emperor and said, "Apologies for disturbing Senior Alchemy Emperor. We will be leaving." Alchemy Emperor nodded his head slightly and did not say anything. Very quickly, the other group also disappeared. As they watched the silhouettes head off, someone said, "The members of Heavenly Battle Palace love to battle. That fellow might have arranged this gathering. They must have also invited Alchemy Divine Palace aside from inviting Little Friendy." "It is not a possibility, it is a certainty," commented someone to the side. They would not miss such an event. Not just Alchemy Divine Palace, anyone that they invite would also not miss this event. As they spoke, they glanced over at Alchemy Emperor, seemingly wanting to glean something from his expression. However, they saw that the Alchemy Emperor's expression was calm, as though everything was as usual, and there was nothing off. He seemed to be unfazed by Yi Futian's departure. Could it be that he was not worried that Yi Futian would be taken advantage of? Or rather, it was his confidence towards Yi Futian's ability. Aside from his alchemy techniques, they did not know much about the actual ability of that monstrous alchemy master. However, he was most likely not weak. Right now, Heavenly Battle Palace was filled with people and was extremely lively. Wangdu was vast and endless. Yet, among the most prosperous and lively places in Wangdu, Heavenly Battle Palace was second to none. In Heavenly Battle Palace, a large number of cultivators of various planes gathered every day. Each law battle platform was grand and impressive. From top to bottom, it was extremely majestic. Yi Futian's group were guided upstairs by the cultivator from Heavenly Battle Palace. There were already many people waiting there. Yi Futian saw some of the people he had encountered yesterday. Qi Mu and Zhong Fan from Alchemy Divine Palace had also been invited. From another direction, there were many cultivators also making their way over here. One group among them was exceptionally eye-catching. They were a group of goddesses from Goddess Peak. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. At that moment, a group of people stood up on a level nearby. They were the cultivators of the Heavenly Battle Palace. At that moment, a group of people stood up on a level nearby. They were the cultivators of the Heavenly Battle Palace. The leader appeared to be in his 30s, and a formless pressure emanated from his body. His figure was proportional, and his facial features were distinct. This person was Yang Qian, who was the eldest son of Heavenly Battle Palace Palace Lord. He was also the most talented person in Heavenly Battle Palace. He was considered by many to be the next Heavenly Battle Palace Palace Lord. He had cultivated for more than 100 years and was now a powerful existence at the upper-level Renhuang Plane. His combat ability was extremely powerful. Now, Heavenly Battle Palace Palace Lord had already begun paving the way for his son to inherit the title of Palace Lord. Yang Qian could already command many of the elders of Heavenly Battle Palace. Right now, there were many cultivators beside Yang Qian. The cultivators sitting on the levels watching the law battle platform were all incredible figures from Heavenly Battle Palace. Yang Qian from Heavenly Battle Palace welcomes all of you, Yang Qian said as he saluted at the crowd with his fists. The members of the forces of Wangdu naturally knew who he was. However, there were some outsiders who did not recognize him. So, Yang Qian intentionally mentioned his own name. He is the eldest son of Heavenly Battle Palace Palace Lord and the future master of Heavenly Battle Palace, Lin Qiu explained to Yi Futian via thought transmission. Yi Futian immediately understood. He must also be the one who invited everyone here this time. Aside from a person of such status, no one else could invite various cultivators to gather together without embarrassing themselves. Many people returned his salute. Yang Qian glanced around at the crowd. He then looked at Yi Futian with a smile and said, "You must be Renhuang Yi. Before this, you have displayed your abilities during the alchemy conference. I have heard about this from other people. Hence, I specifically instructed for Renhuang Yi to be invited over." "You are too kind," Yi Futian replied with a smile. "Please be seated," Yang Qian said as he gestured towards a seat. Yi Futian and the others sat down immediately. Yang Qian also looked towards the cultivators from Goddess Peak and said, "Goddess, we are all familiar with each other. Please be seated." The cultivators from Goddess Peak had extraordinary temperament. They sat down in seats near Yi Futian's group. Many of them looked over at Yi Futian curiously. Hearing what Yang Qian said, they naturally also knew that Yi Futian was the person who caused the disturbance during the alchemy conference. The major forces of Wangdu were the first to know about this. The members of Goddess Peak naturally also heard of this. The arrival of Yi Futian's group drew the attention of many people. Or rather, they were interested in Yi Futian. He had already become a prominent figure. Of course, the people who were most interested in Yi Futian were undoubtedly the cultivators of Alchemy Divine Palace. Qi Mu, Zhong Fan, Zihe, and the rest of their group were sitting to one side. They looked over when Yi Futian arrived. They only shifted their gazes when they saw Yi Futian sit down. They appeared to be talking casually to each other. However, the people here knew that the storm during yesterday's alchemy conference was not settled. There was bound to be a continuation. It was just that no one knew when the situation would erupt. After that, cultivators from all over arrived one after another. There were cultivators from the top forces of Wangdu and cultivators from various other continents like Yi Futian's group. Nevertheless, those invited here were the top forces of the various continents. Otherwise, they would not have caught the eye of Heavenly Battle Palace. More and more people gathered here. It was very lively. Fortunately, this area was expansive, and there were many seats to watch the platforms from. The view was excellent. This was a place to spectate law battles. At a glance, all the law battle platforms were in sight. Yi Futian turned to look at the law battle platforms below. Matrices surrounded each law battle platform. They were scattered across different areas, and they were well spaced out. Even their heights were different. The layout was similar to that of the Jutian temple back then. The higher the plane of a battle, the taller the law battle platform it would be held on. The lowest platforms were for law battles between those below the same plane. They already formed their own area on the lower half of Heavenly Battle Palace. The people above were not too interested in the battles here. Many people were more interested in the law battle platforms in the center region. They were the platforms for the battle between saints. Battles between cultivators at the Saint Plane were the most frequent battles in Heavenly Battle Palace. Among the people who came to participate in these battles, some came for fame. Others came for benefits. No matter their reason for coming, Heavenly Battle Palace was the best training ground to temper one's combat ability. There was a single law battle platform at the region at the very top. It floated in the sky and was enveloped in the light of a matrix. It seemed ethereal, appearing transparent. If there were no battles on it, it would appear as though it did not exist, and there was no law battle platform there. This law battle platform was reserved for Renhuangs. Not many Renhuangs participated in law battles. Hence, there was only one law battle platform reserved for them. This platform was sufficient to support the Renhuangs who wanted to participate in law battles. Yi Futian casually glanced at the various battlefields below. Battles between saints and between sages no longer caught his attention. He merely looked around. After all, his cultivation and the cultivation of those around him were already beyond the Saint Plane. Yang Qian, when you invited us over, didn't you mention that there would be exciting law battles? Why haven't you arranged for one yet? A crisp voice sounded at that moment. The person who had spoken was a female cultivator from Goddess Peak. Although her voice was authoritative, her appearance was stunning. She made people feel that her beauty could only be admired. No one dared to approach and sully her image. "Goddess, you are still so impatient," Yang Qian stated with a smile. He gave some instructions to the people beside him and immediately, someone left. Not long after, a light of the great path shone. The law battle platform seemed to be changing. It became real and floated in midair. It was like a gigantic battle platform. Light of the great path circled the platform. The matrix around it contained the aura of the great path of space. At that moment, a silhouette appeared in midair. It descended from the sky, and his silhouette landed on the law battle platform. This person had a powerful aura. An overbearing air emanated from his eyes. He glanced around at the surrounding cultivators. Many people sensed his aura. He was actually at the middle-level Renhuang plane. At that moment, many people below felt somewhat excited. Were they about to witness a Renhuang law battle up close, that of the middle-level Renhuang plane? Heavenly Battle Palace seemed to have invited many people over today. The upcoming battles would not be simple. Was only one person going up? Many people revealed bizarre expressions. If it were a law battle, he would naturally have an opponent. Why was he standing there alone? What was Yang Qian planning to do? "I am Wang Yi from Qinhe Palace. I have heard that cultivators from many continents have arrived, preparing to train in Wangshan Watchtower. I am somewhat curious as to what level of ability the cultivators from the various continents sent here to Wangdu are at. Hence, I wish to use this opportunity to experience it for myself," the cultivator on the law battle platform proclaimed in a loud voice. He swept a glance over the crowd of cultivators and asked, Cultivators of Taiyuan continent, would anyone be interested in a spar to test our abilities against each other? Yi Futian frowned when he heard the words of the other party. Was Wang Yi targeting them? Had Heavenly Battle Palace invited them over a false pretense? Lin Qiu and the others also clearly realized this. They glanced over at Yang Qian. Yang Qian's expression was normal, as though all this had nothing to do with him. Lin Qiu also noticed the cultivators of Alchemy Divine Palace. Zhong Fan from Alchemy Divine Palace glanced over in their direction. His expression was indifferent and calm. It was as though this was within his expectations and was no surprise. Alchemy Divine Palace and Qin He Palace had always been close. Hence, for Alchemy Divine Palace to know something about this was no surprise. They might even be the masterminds behind this. From the Alchemy Conference, they had brought their conflict with Yi Futian onto the law battle platform. Were they planning to restore their image here? Currently, Lin Qiu did not know what role Heavenly Battle Palace was playing in this incident. However, Heavenly Battle Palace and Alchemy Divine Palace were not so close. Heavenly Battle Palace loved battles and was a law battle force. They respected the cultivators of Alchemy Divine Palace, but it was just respect. They would not be ordered around by Alchemy Divine Palace unless it was something they themselves wanted to do. Heavenly Battle Palace wanted to witness an exciting battle. Now that the cultivators from various continents had arrived, in addition to the friction caused during the Alchemy Conference, they had the opportunity they wanted to organize a law battle between powerful Renhuangs. Loud, intense roars came from below. The crowd seemed to be waiting in anticipation for this battle. Law battles between powerful Renhuangs were rare, unlike the battles between sages and saints. It was because even if they were merely sparring, Renhuangs hated being spectated by others. Now, there was such an opportunity. The person who had come out to battle was a cultivator from the Qin He Palace, a top force. The person who the cultivator had incited to battle was the Taiyuan continent cultivator who had caused a disturbance during the Alchemy Conference. His spears were aimed at the powerful alchemy grandmaster Yi Lianyan. If you wish to ignore this challenge, leave immediately. Heavenly Battle Palace will not dare to do anything. They are not qualified to directly interfere in whether or not you accept the law battle, Lin Qiu explained to Yi Futian over transmitted thoughts. No matter what Heavenly Battle Palace's motive was, if Heavenly Battle Palace had invited them all here to see their law battles, Heavenly Battle Palace had plotted against them. Yi Futian and Lin Qiu would naturally feel dissatisfied. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Yi Futian naturally would not accept the law battle. A mere middle-level Renhuang from Qin He Palace wanted a law battle with him? Yi Futian naturally would not accept the law battle. A mere middle-level Renhuang from Qin He Palace wanted a law battle with him? They were not on the same level. A 7th-tier upper-level Renhuang was barely qualified to invite Yi Futian for a law battle. Yi Futian looked at the law battle platform. His expression was calm. It was as though all this was unrelated to him. The other party had invited cultivators from the Taiyuan continent to have a law battle with him. In reality, they were targeting Yi Futian. However, Yi Futian was not a cultivator from the Taiyuan continent. Many people sitting beside him gazed at him. They wanted to see how he would respond. However, they were quickly disappointed when Yi Futian remained sitting there, showing no intention of battling. On the other hand, some Renhuangs next to Yi Futian frowned. Their expressions were not happy. They naturally also realized that Heavenly Battle Palace invited them over with ulterior motives. Now, a member of Qin He Palace had directly challenged them. Would they accept the challenge? It was not just the people on this side. In the vast area of Heavenly Battle Palace, countless cultivators below all lifted their heads and looked over. They wanted to witness a law battle between Renhuangs. It remained to be seen whether the cultivators from the Taiyuan continent would allow them to do so. The cultivators from Qin He Palace are proficient in battle, Yang Qian said with a smile. It has been many years since Wang Yi has proven his way and reached the middle-level Renhuang plane. His divine wheel of the Great Path is powerful, and his combat ability is also extraordinary. Among the figures of the same level in Wangdu, His combat ability is considered extremely powerful. This is his first time participating in a law battle here in Heavenly Battle Palace. It will certainly be a spectacle. Yang Qian did not coerce the cultivators from the Taiyuan continent to participate in the battle. He seemed to keep on talking on his own. Under such circumstances, if the cultivators from the Taiyuan continent wanted to leave, he would not say anything. Yesterday, during the alchemy conference, Renhuang Yi displayed extremely proficient pill concocting ability. He concocted extraordinary pills with middle-level Renhuang plane cultivation. I believe that his own ability must certainly be outstanding. Will I have the opportunity to experience it for myself? Another person said at the moment. The person who spoke was Grandmaster Zihe. Yesterday, after Yi Futian concocted his pills, Zihe knew that in terms of pill concocting ability, even he was no match for Yi Futian. He speculated that Yi Futian's ability would definitely not be weak. Yi Futian might even be very powerful. Yi Futian turned his head and looked at Zihe. He smiled and asked, "Does Grandmaster Zihe want to have a law battle with me?" Zihe was stunned. His plane was much higher than Yi Futian's. Zihe would naturally not participate himself. His meaning should have been obvious. Wang Ye's plane is the same as Renhuang Ye's, said Qi Mu to the side as he looked at the law battle platform. Yi Futian traced Qi Mu's gaze and looked in the direction of Wang Yi. Wang Yi similarly was looking at him. His eyes were burning with battle intent. Clearly, Wang Yi desired to have a match with him. Grandmaster Zihe's plane of cultivation is also higher than mine. However, does it mean that the pills that he concocted will definitely be better than mine? Yi Futian said indifferently as he cast a glance in the direction of Wang Yi. If I were to join the law battle, he would be unworthy as my opponent. Yi Futian's tone was arrogant. Since the other party was dying to challenge him, naturally, he did not need to be polite with them. Yesterday when he was at the alchemy conference, the cultivators of Qin He Palace had tried all sorts of tricks on him. Now that they wanted to challenge him in a law battle, did they think it would be sufficient for them to send out a representative at this level? The crowd had naturally sensed the arrogance in Yi Futian's tone. It seemed like he was indeed very confident of his skills. Wang Yi was considered a powerful figure in Qin He Palace, yet Yi Futian claimed that he was unworthy to be his opponent in a law battle. Moreover, Yi Futian had shamed both Zihe and Wang Yi in his speech. On the law battle platform, Wang Ye's gaze was fixed upon Yi Futian. A formless might of the great path pressed down on Yi Futian's space from across the platform, seemingly forcing Yi Futian to retaliate. Yi Futian frowned and swept a glance at the other party. For a split second, Yi Futian's eyes changed. Wang Yi felt as though he was staring at a full moon instead of a pair of eyes. He felt a chill all over his body. The cold seemed to freeze even his soul. The crowd revealed strange expressions. They could sense that a formless aura of the great path had appeared in both their eyes. This aura of the great path was chilly, emanating a frosty vibe. Were the two of them already exchanging blows? Sizzle. Frost appeared in the air. The crowd noticed that frost also appeared on the body of Wang Yi, who was standing on the law battle platform. His hair turned white as it was covered with a layer of rime. He was shivering as though the surrounding was very cold. At this moment, Wang Yi, who was already a Renhuang, actually felt extremely cold. He attempted to break free from that sensation. However, he had fallen into his opponent's control. A glance from Yi Futian was enough to make him fall. Many people were astonished as they stared at Yi Futian. He had not even lifted a finger. He merely looked at Wang Yi. He was still firmly seated in his seat. You want me to have a law battle with you? If you want to see me in a law battle, your core members should come out personally. For instance, if the young palace lord of Heavenly Battle Palace were to stand on the law battle platform, I might consider it, Yi Futian said indifferently. Such arrogant words startled the surrounding people. What sort of figure was the young palace lord of Heavenly Battle Palace? He was already a 7th-tier upper-level Renhuang. His combat ability was also very powerful. No one below the upper-level Renhuang plane was a match for him. However, they could hear the dissatisfaction in Yi Futian's tone. This time, Heavenly Battle Palace had invited them over, Yet they actually wanted to watch Yi Futian participate in a law battle. Yi Futian naturally had qualms with this. Hence, he had said such words, venting the frustration in his heart. The young palace lord of Heavenly Battle Palace, Yang Qian, ignored Yi Futian's discontentment. He laughed heartily and said, "I have to confess to Renhuang Yi about the matters today. I have indeed invited you all here with other motives in mind. I wanted to witness the abilities of the members of various continents. This is how I am. I love law battles. If I have offended Renhuang Yi, please excuse my offense." Many people revealed strange expressions. Yang Qian was actually apologizing to Yi Futian? It seemed that Yi Futian's previous attack had won Yang Qian's respect. "I regret missing the grand occasion at the alchemy conference. I never imagined that I would witness such a scene today. I am getting even more curious about Renhuang Yi. Your pill concocting ability and combat ability are extraordinary. If my speculation is correct, Alchemy Emperor has brought Renhuang Yi to Wangdu to meet Millet Emperor?" Yang Qian asked with a smile. Many people had come this time for the Wangshan Watchtower. However, not many people dared to say that they had come to meet Millet Emperor. After all, even if they could enter the Wangshan Watchtower to cultivate, they would not necessarily meet Millet Emperor. However, the instantaneous exchange just now made Yang Qian realize that Alchemy Emperor had brought Renhuang Yi to Wangdu for this purpose. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1965. Mysterious Visitors. Chapter 1965. Mysterious Visitors. Yi Futian smiled casually and did not respond directly. He merely said, "I just came out to see and experience Wangdu. I did not have anything planned." This time, he was mainly following Goddess Donglai's arrangement, following her to Wangdu. Yi Futian also had no plans of cultivating in the Wangshan Watchtower. Goddess Donglai meant to introduce him to Millet Emperor now that he was considered half a disciple of Supreme Deity Donglai. The master of the Wangshan Watchtower, the top figure on Dongshao continent, Millet Emperor, was good friends with Supreme Deity Donglai back in the day. "Renhuang Yi's ability is extraordinary, and your alchemy techniques are also so astonishing. May I ask what is the relationship between Renhuang Yi and Alchemy Emperor?" a voice asked. Yi Futian shifted his gaze towards the person who had spoken. It was actually a disciple of Goddess Peak. She had an extremely outstanding appearance and temperament. She was a goddess of Goddess Peak. Goddess of Goddess Peak, Empress Yi, Lin Qiu introduced her to Yi Futian via thought transmission. Empress Yi's question was also what other people wanted to know. Yi Futian had such outstanding alchemy techniques, but he claimed that he was not a disciple of Alchemy Emperor. Then what was his identity? Up until now, this was still a mystery. No one knew. However, even if he wasn't a disciple of Alchemy Emperor, he had come to Wangdu with Alchemy Emperor's entourage. Yi Futian must have an extremely intimate relationship with him. Goddess will naturally know in the future, Yi Futian replied with a smile, not answering the other party's question. Since Goddess Donglai had instructed him not to reveal his identity, for now, she naturally had her reasons for doing so. Alchemy Emperor had also instructed the members who had come with them from the Taiyuan continent to keep it to themselves for now. Only they knew that Yi Futian was not the disciple of Alchemy Emperor, but his junior, an heir of Supreme Deity Donglai. If the people knew that Yi Futian was the heir of the once top alchemy grandmaster of the Donghua domain, they would probably treat him differently. It would certainly whip up a storm. After all, aside from his daughter, Supreme Deity Donglai did not have an heir back then. After he perished, Eastern Deity Island went into seclusion and was gradually forgotten by the world. After so many years, Eastern Deity Island was gradually forgotten by the top forces of the Donghua domain. "Renhuang Yi, can't you reveal a little?" Empress Yi asked with a smile. It was hard to refuse her. Yang Qian, who was sitting there, also went along with her and said, "I am also similarly curious about this. Since it will be revealed in the future, why don't you give us a teaser? Or maybe you can hint about it a little." "Alchemy Emperor is considered my senior, and not my teacher," Yi Futian replied with a smile. It was still an answer that did not reveal anything. However, it was considered a hint for them to speculate on. Supreme deity Donglai had perished many years ago. Alchemy Emperor was just a cultivator who Supreme deity Donglai had instructed before. It was difficult for anyone to link Yi Futian to Supreme deity Donglai. After all, no one would even consider Supreme deity Donglai in their speculation. The crowd was all pondering this issue, but no one could make any head or tail. From the looks of it, we can only wait. I cannot figure this out. Has anyone managed to do so? Yang Qian asked the crowd. The crowd shook their heads. They could not figure out the true identity of this cultivator with proficient pill concocting ability, powerful combat ability, and who also claimed to be the junior of Alchemy Emperor. It seems that no one has managed to guess, Yang Qian said with a smile as he shook his head at the crowd's response. So be it. We can only wait and see. I wonder what sort of surprise will be in store. The crowd did not ponder more on Yi Futian's identity. Since the other party was unwilling to reveal it and they could not figure it out, they could only leave it be. It was a waste of time anyway. I also wish to ask everyone a question, someone asked right then. The crowd looked over at the person who spoke. He was a middle-aged Renhuang who had an authoritative aura. This person was not a cultivator from Wangdu and was instead like Yi Futian and the others. He was from another continent and was mainly here for the Wangshan Watchtower. Go on, Yang Qian said. He had invited everyone here, so he naturally knew who the other party was. This person was also an incredible Renhuang from the Taihua continent. He was a Renhuang from the Hua clan, which was the top clan of the Taihua continent. His name was Hua Tianlin. Based on what Yang Qian knew, Hua Tianlin was very famous on the continent. He was renowned far and wide. Since his youth, he was known as the most monstrous figure on the continent. Hua Tianlin came to Wangdu on the Dongshao continent with only one goal in mind, to meet the top figure of this continent, Millet Emperor. Back in the day, he had asked to study cultivation methods under Millet Emperor. Although he was a member of the top clan of the Taihua continent, he had not received instruction from any major figure. He had come this time for such an opportunity. With his ability, he would certainly get such a chance. This time, cultivators from various continents have come to Wangdu. How many of them will have the chance to meet Millet Emperor? Hua Tianlin asked. He was not that curious about Yi Futian. The divine prefecture was huge, and there were too many incredible figures. Powerful cultivators were innumerable. He couldn't pay attention to so many of them. He could only focus on what he wanted. I'm afraid no one can answer your question, Yang Qian answered. Even in Wangdu, few people here have seen Millet Emperor more than once. Millet Emperor is elusive. We can't come in contact with him even if we wanted to. Be it Heavenly Battle Palace, Alchemy Divine Palace, or other forces, it is the same. If you want to ask how many people will get to meet Millet Emperor, only Millet Emperor himself knows. Hua Tianlin nodded his head and did not ask more. However, since all of you are here, you can get to know one another beforehand, Yang Qian continued with a smile. Those who have come here are all prominent figures from all over. Many of you have come for the Wangshan Watchtower. If you are interested, you can get to know each other on the Law Battle platform. I have no interest in learning from others as well as verifying the abilities of others. Farewell, Hua Tianlin said. He seemed uninterested in law battles. As he said this, he actually got up, causing many people to reveal strange looks. Was Hua Tianlin actually planning to leave just like that? Those who have cultivated up to such a high cultivation plane each had their own quirks. I also have some business to attend to, so I won't stay. May we meet again in the future. Yi Futian bid farewell, preparing to leave. He had entertained the other party's invitation because he had nothing to do. Hence, he had come over to check the place out. He never imagined that the other party had plotted against him and wanted him to participate in a law battle. Although Yang Qian had apologized, Yi Futian still did not like the atmosphere here and was not interested in participating in law battles. So, he prepared to leave. This made it somewhat awkward for Yang Qian. From the looks of it, his idea had missed the mark. These people had no intention of clashing with one another. However, just as Yi Futian was prepared to leave, his gaze suddenly looked far into the distance. From there, a terrifying aura could faintly be sensed. It was not just Yi Futian. The others in his group had also sensed it and were frantically looking in that direction. Very quickly, the sky in the distance changed color. A monstrous pressure of the great path loomed over them and enveloped the entire heavenly battle palace. It was not just them. Very soon, the members of Heavenly Battle Palace sensed the terrifying pressure of the great path and frantically looked up into the sky in the distance. Yang Qian frowned. Just then, behind him, cultivators emerged from the palaces of Heavenly Battle Palace one after another. Powerful wills swept out towards the distance. They had clearly also sensed the pressure. Soon, in the sky far in the distance, divine light descended from the sky. The next moment, a group of cultivators descended, accompanied by divine light. They immediately appeared above Heavenly Battle Palace. These people had extremely powerful auras. Each person had Renhuang plane cultivation. Among them, there were even a few people who had terrifying auras. The aura of top-level Renhuangs faintly emanated from their bodies. There were many upper-level Renhuangs among them. Such a lineup was frightening. Even in Wangdu, not many forces could put together such a powerful lineup. These people were clearly not a force from Wangdu. The law battles in Heavenly Battle Palace below all stopped at this moment. Countless gazes looked up at the group of cultivators who had descended from the sky. Who are these people? What business do you have with Heavenly Battle Palace? Asked Yang Qian, the young palace lord of Heavenly Battle Palace, right then, as he stood up and looked up into the sky. He had yet to discern where the other party had come from. In the Donghua domain, few forces had such a lineup. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1966, Ancient Royal Family of the Northern Land. Chapter 1966. Ancient royal family of the northern land, the cultivators stood high in the sky as their gazes scanned the heavenly battle palace beneath them. One of them said, "This is the location of Dongshao Continent's Wangdu Law Battle." The others around the speaker nodded. Then, looking down, the people beneath them had odd expressions on their faces. After hearing those words, they knew that these people were not cultivators from the Dongshao Continent but were from another continent. So they should be from a continent of a similar caliber. Yi Futian and his group observed closely and found out that they did not behave like they were from a single entity. They moved and acted in separate smaller groups. They also instantly realized that these cultivators were most likely not from the same faction but multiple factions. This meant that these people could be from one of the other 6 continents of the 7 main continents of the Donghua domain. Only a continent at around the Dongshao continent's level would have such a domineering and powerful lineup. Cultivators not from the 7 main continents would never have dared to arrive in such a manner. This is the Heavenly Battle Palace, the location of Wangdu Law Battle. Are you not from Wangdu? Yang Qian asked. The cultivators looked down and scanned the area. Then one of them said, "We come from the north." The north. Many cultivators' pupils shrank. Within the territories of the Donghua domain, the north specifically meant the northern areas among the 7 main continents, and one continent in the northern areas was one of the 7 main continents. Among the 7 main continents within the Donghua domain, the Donghua continent was at the center. It was where the Donghua domain chief's office was situated, and it was most certainly the core of one of the 18 divine prefecture domains, which would be the Donghua domain. The other 6 main continents surrounded the Donghua continent, and between the main continents were many other continental plates scattered around the 6 main continents. It looked like a myriad of stars surrounding the moon. The Dongshao continent was in the eastern areas, and the north in the northern areas meant the Yenyun continent. Since these people came from the north, they were most certainly from the Yenyun continent. The cultivators of the Yenyun continent arriving in Wangdu of the Donghua continent were not an insignificant event. It was possible that the military leaders of the Yenyun continent had also arrived, and it was unclear if they were hidden among the crowd. The north, Yi Futian thought. He was searching for a memory. Due to Supreme Deity Donglai's memories, he knew a little bit about many things concerning the divine prefecture. However, the memories were scattered and in pieces. so it was still relatively blurry. Only the memory that Supreme Deity Donglai specifically left within the will during his cultivation was preserved perfectly. That was why Yi Futian could inherit Supreme Deity Donglai's cultivation. However, when it came to things concerning the external world, he only knew a little, but the memories were always vague. The North. It seemed to have left a rather strong impression. Supreme Deity Donglai's main enemy was in the north. Lin Qiu's expression turned solemn. He looked at Yi Futian beside him from the side. He moved as if he wanted to speak but stopped before saying anything. He had guessed Yi Futian's identity, and there was a high likelihood that these people were connected to Yi Futian in a ridiculous number of ways. How much do you know about the north? Yi Futian transmitted his voice to Lin Qiu, who was beside him. He noticed that Lin Qiu had wanted to speak to him earlier, so he guessed that Lin Qiu knew some things. The northern continent centers around the Yenyun continent. The Yenyun continent is the equivalent of our Dongshao continent. The difference between us is that the Yenyun continent's influence is more frightening. Two superpowers had tried to conquer the continents in the past, the ancient royal families of the Yen clan and the Yun clan. The Yun clan had vanished over time, and only the great Yen ancient royal family stayed and carried on until this day. It has a long history. Its history is not something the Wangshan Watchtower can compare against. Lin Qiu transmitted his voice and continued to brief Yi Futian. The great Yen ancient royal family has been around for many years. Their background is profound, and they are incredibly strong. They have a lot of influence across the entire Donghua domain, and they are very forceful and overbearing when doing things. A long time ago, an argument arose between Supreme Deity Donglai and the great Yen ancient royal city. Both sides were incredibly prideful and unrelenting, which led to an impasse and an ensuing conflict that led to a major war. The war resulted in Supreme Deity Donglai's fall, the death of the legendary alchemy master, and the Eastern Deity Island isolating itself from the outside world. Yi Futian nodded. He finally understood. The Yen ancient royal family was the Eastern Deity Island's main enemy and a potential threat to him. It was no wonder he felt that the northern lands sounded familiar. It was actually the base of the great Yen ancient royal family. This meant that the cultivators of the Yen ancient royal family might have also arrived in Wangdu. His gaze focused on the group of figures in the sky. However, he did not discover any core figures among them. It seemed as if the cultivators of the great Yen ancient royal family did not come personally. After all, they were of different status. The great Yen ancient royal family's cultivators were the same level as the Wangshan Watchtower. If they wanted to speak to anyone, they would directly speak to the Wangshan Watchtower. There was no need for them to show off their strength in front of the top factions of Wangdu. It did not suit the status of an ancient royal family. It was the same as last time when they were cultivating in the Eastern Deity Island, the cultivator from the Jiang ancient royal family, Jiang Jiuming, who always acted alone and never mingled with any other factions. It was because they were not of the same level. So the group of cultivators in front of them were most likely cultivators from various factions of the Yenyun continent, which followed the great Yen ancient royal family. Naturally, Yang Qian and the others also realized that cultivators from the great Yen ancient royal family had arrived after learning that the group had come from the north. Were they here for the Wangshan Watchtower? The eyes of the cultivators suddenly looked a few times heavier. The cultivators underneath the heavenly battle palace also stopped their battle. Everyone raised their head to look at the mighty cultivators in the sky. The vast and powerful heavenly battle palace suddenly became extremely quiet. The forces of the north had arrived in Wangdu of the Dongshao continent. Of course, the people had realized just how unusual it was. Something was probably about to happen. Everyone knew the conflict between Wangshan Watchtower's Millet Emperor and the ancient royal family from the north back then. Neither side was friendly with the other. So, the visitors most likely did come with good intentions. Dear cultivators from the north, may I inquire as to the purpose of this visit to my heavenly battle palace? A voice asked. It came from within the heavenly battle palace. The tone was strong and powerful. Just as the sentence ended, a group of cultivators strode out from within the heavenly battle palace. The one leading the group looked full of energy, and an overbearing and powerful will might emanated from his body. He was like a war god. It was clear that this middle-aged man was the palace lord of the heavenly battle palace, the war godlike existence of the Yang clan, Yang Jian. We come from the north and heard that the heavenly battle palace is the place of the law battle. That is why we came here, to observe and evaluate the levels of the cultivators of Wangdu. You can all proceed, answered a figure in the sky. They still maintained their condescending and arrogant attitude. It was extremely discomforting. Under the circumstances, how could the heavenly battle palace start the law battle as if nothing had happened? Since you are here, why don't you also take part? What's the fun in only observing? Answered Yang Jian in a calm and cool tone. He did not like the visitors' attitude. Even if they did come from the Yenyun continent, this was their territory, Wangdu of the Dongshao continent. Even a mighty dragon would have to bow down if it had arrived. Moreover, these people were clearly trying to instigate things. As the palace lord of the heavenly battle palace, Yang Jian, an incredibly iron-blooded and domineering character, would never allow them to act so cheeky. After finishing his sentence, multiple gazes landed on the heavenly battle palace's Lord Yang Jian's body. A powerful and intense might of the Great Path was released. However, Yang Jian was a Pikran Huang. He allowed the might of the Great Path to land on his body as he maintained a calm expression. A great aura of the Great Path actually also emerged from his body, instantly filling the space with an intense battle will. Everyone inside the heavenly battle palace could clearly feel the strength and intensity of the battle will. The people of the north did not arrive with good intentions. I was just thinking the same thing, answered one of the elders among them calmly. He was also a peak existence at the ninth plane. When Yang Jian saw that someone like the elder was here, he understood that the cultivators of the great Yen ancient royal family from the Yenyun continent had arrived. Moreover, they were already inside Wangdu, possibly watching everything that was happening at that moment. Without the backing of the great Yen ancient royal family's cultivators, these people never would have had the guts to provoke them. Moreover, if not for the cultivators of the great Yen ancient royal family, a person as powerful as that elder would not have come so far. It seemed like this debacle was not meant to target them. Instead, they targeted the Wangshan watchtower. As he thought of that, his divine consciousness shot out toward a place far away in search of something. He kept widening his search, and with the heavenly battle palace as the center, everything inside Wangdu appeared in his mind. It was as if he could see everything in one go. Amidst a vast crowd, Yang Jian quickly discovered a tavern. A group of dignified people aura sat within this tavern. No one else was there. It was like they had cleared the place. The person leading the group seemed rather young, but he was surrounded only by high-level Renowangs. Impudence! An elder quickly raised his head to look outside. The young man also seemed to frown as he looked outside. Then, as if his gaze was able to pierce through the sky, he looked toward the direction of the heavenly battle palace. There was no anger in his eyes. He seemed calm. The strongest person of the heavenly battle palace was quite formidable. After all, it did not take long for him to find them. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1967, Bad Intentions from the Visitors. Chapter 1967, Bad Intentions from the Visitors. Yang Jian retracted his divine consciousness. His mind was as clear as a mirror. Just as he expected, the cultivators of the great Yen ancient royal family had arrived. They were already in Wangdu. Moreover, they did not seem at all interested in what was happening at the palace. They were quietly drinking their liquor at the tavern as if they did not care about the happenings in the heavenly battle palace at all. Perhaps, the cultivators of the great Yen ancient royal family really did not care much about the actions of the cultivators here. Perhaps, for the great Yen ancient royal family, the only thing they really cared about was the Wangshan watchtower. Who knew why the great Yen ancient royal family actually came here? After withdrawing his divine consciousness, Yang Jian stopped thinking about the great Yen ancient royal family. It was not something he could worry about at that moment. They were not at the same level. He was not yet qualified to intervene in their affairs. At the current moment, what he needed to deal with were the cultivators from the north. These cultivators from the north most likely came following the great Yen ancient royal family. As for why they went to the heavenly battle palace, no one knew if they did it by themselves or under orders of the great Yen ancient royal family. After Yang Jian arrived, the other cultivators from the heavenly battle palace became extremely quiet. No one spoke. After all, Yang Jian was the palace lord of the heavenly battle palace. He was an elder. Since he had arrived, it was natural that he would take the lead. An oppressive and intense aura accompanied the solemn and silent space. The situation was tense. It was as if a huge battle could break out at any moment. Yang Jian looked at the cultivators in the sky and said, "Since you also have this intention, please. My heavenly battle palace happens to be the location of the law battle. The guest room of our heavenly battle palace is this law battle platform. Since you have come from the far north, my heavenly battle palace will help receive and welcome you on this law battle platform." One might mistake Yang Jian's words as one uttered to a dear friend who had come to visit if one did not know the context. Naturally, what he meant by receiving and welcoming them at Heavenly Battle Palace's law battle platform meant that they would receive them in the form of a battle. In the sky, the vast and powerful might continued to occupy the sky. Among the cultivators from the north, the elder who spoke earlier was rather respected. He said to the cultivators around him, "Since the Heavenly Battle Palace has issued such a sincere invitation, if any one of you wish to reciprocate their kindness, just head down there." Just as Yang Jian and many others had expected, the cultivators from the north were powerful. They were indeed not from the same faction. Instead, they were from multiple different factions that followed the great Yen ancient royal family over here, to Wangdu. The reason they came here was that the Heavenly Battle Palace was the place of law battles. Here, they could clearly see the strength and capabilities of the practitioners in Wangdu. While it was not enough for them to gauge individual practitioners' abilities, it was enough for them to peek at the general strength. High up in the sky, a figure strode forward. His body leaned forward as he landed on top of the Heavenly Battle Palace. The person's body was muscular and sturdy-looking, his eyes were like copper bells, and his black hair draped over his shoulders. His body was cloaked in a golden robe, and he gave off a sense of domineering wildness as an intense and powerful aura emanated from his body. His cultivation level was Renhuang 5th plane, and his powerful aura was very oppressive. The practitioners from the north instantly relaxed after they saw the Renhuang step forward. That person was a powerful cultivator from a royal family that conquered a continent in the northern lands. When that royal family conquered the continent, they stepped over numerous corpses, and they were famous across various continents for a time. The royal family's influence also spanned across various continents. Even in the main continent of the north, the Yenyun continent, the royal family was very well known. This person was a core cultivator from that royal family. He excelled in battles, and his battle strength could be described as frightening. If the Heavenly Battle Palace did not send out a powerful person, they would be crushed. "Which one of you is willing to go and welcome our guest from afar?" the Heavenly Battle Palace Lord Yang Jian asked. Just as he finished speaking, a Renhuang of the same plane stepped forward. With a step, he leaped into the air and landed on the law battle platform. He raised his head to look at the figure in the sky and said, "Appreciate your guidance." Neither one of them gave their names as if that was not important. It did not matter what the objectives of the visitors from the north were. They certainly did not have good intentions, so they did not need to be too polite or formal. Moreover, the way these visitors arrived could also be said to be incredibly cocky. The Renhuang who stepped forward was a practitioner of the Heavenly Battle Palace. For these visitors to arrive at the Heavenly Battle Palace in such a cocky manner, he naturally knew that there was no need to be polite with them. Then, bright lights appeared, and the Renhuang Law Battle platform floated into the air. Lights from the law matrix shot through the clouds in the sky, and the Renhuang Law Battle platform formed a space of its own. Yi Futian looked at the matrix of the law battle platform. It was not a rock pillar. It was a leg. However, it moved as fast as lightning, to the point where a divine light that pierced the sky appeared in the air, stomping downward. The great path was directly crushed into pieces. The sharp divine eagle fought against the tide to charge upward but was crushed under the pillar of light. Divine light burst forth when it was annihilated. It was blinding. The bright light directly crushed the great path and pierced through the sky, striking the body of the heavenly battle palace Renhuang. With a loud bang, the mighty divine wheel of the great path of the heavenly battle palace Renhuang cracked. The body of the divine eagle was about to be crushed. He grunted as a ray of light pierced through his body. Then his body fell and he knelt on the ground. His great path was damaged and he was severely injured. Everyone in the vast land of the heavenly battle palace witnessed this scene. The place was unbelievably quiet. So ruthless. A powerful Renhuang was completely crushed and severely injured. This hit was incredibly damaging to the heavenly battle palace's Renhuang. However, it also showed them the strength of their opponents. This practitioner from the north had overwhelmingly defeated and severely injured the Renhuang of the heavenly battle palace. The law battle platform's matrix moved. Someone went up to the platform to bring the heavenly battle palace's Renhuang down. The heavenly battle palace Lord Yang Jian's expression became cold after witnessing the scene before him. He raised his head and said to the Renhuang floating in the sky above the law battle platform coldly, "You have come so far from the north. Is there a need to be so ruthless and cruel?" The Renhuang did not pay much attention to Yang Jian's words. He replied, "I heard the law battle platform of the heavenly battle palace was a cruel place. Injuries and even deaths are not uncommon. It is supposed to be a real law battle. Why is it that when it is from me, it is ruthless and cruel? Could it be that the rumors I heard were wrong?" The Renhuang from the north stood in the sky above and looked down calmly as if he was not surprised by this reaction. Yi Futian raised his head to glance at the Renhuang in the sky. He was confused. The cultivators of the north arriving in Wangdu meant that they were very powerful outsiders. Why did they have to be so ruthless and cruel? Were they trying to bring up the conflict between the north and the Donghua domain? What was the reason behind their pressuring? Were they aiming for the Wangshan watchtower? It looks like the visitors are not simply unkind. The northerners follow orders of the great Yan ancient royal family. For these cultivators to be so rude and cocky, someone must be supporting them from behind. It can only be the great Yan ancient royal family. This means that the great Yan ancient royal family might have already agreed to it. In that case, their objective for coming here will not be simple, said Lin Qiu to Yi Futian gently. Yi Futian nodded. To be so ruthless, it was natural that they were not here to spar. Instead, they were here as a show of force. In terms of who they were showing it to, that was something for one to ponder. Or perhaps, they were showing it to the entire Wangdu. The heavenly battle palace had gathered many powerful cultivators of Wangdu, and even many from the Dongxiao continent, on this day. For them to do this, the one backing them was definitely not simple. This battle had triggered the emotions of many. They were miserable. At that moment, no matter what internal conflicts existed, it did not matter. The arrogant behaviors of these northern visitors were simply contempt. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1968, Not Giving Face. Chapter 1968, Not Giving Face. The Renhuang from the royal family in the north remained on the law battle platform and did not leave. His gaze scanned the Renhuangs in the heavenly battle palace. His body was brimming in golden while his eyes had the dignity of royalty. He was a Renhuang from a royal family that conquered an entire continent. Wangdu, the capital city of the Dongxiao continent, is famous because of the Wangshan watchtower and became the #1 city of the Dongxiao continent. Today, the battle palace is the location of the law battles of Wangdu. Hence, all the fighters are gathered here in Wangdu. Don't tell me this is your battle strength, is it? The Renhuang from the north said. His voice was dignified, and contempt for the Renhuang of Wangdu permeated through his cold tone. While he was not a cultivator from the core Yenyun continent, his family still conquered a continent. He was powerful, and even among the group of cultivators who came from the north, he was still one of the stronger combatants among those on the same plane level. As such, the Renhuang of the Heavenly Battle Palace suffered a crushing defeat and was even severely injured. As the Renhuang finished speaking, the solemn and dignified atmosphere of the Heavenly Battle Palace was suffocated by an oppressive aura. In front of the towering ancient Great Hall, many cultivators looked toward the powerful northern Renhuang, and for a moment, they were silent. For a law battle like this, it was naturally impossible for them to send a fighter who was on a higher plane. However, they were not confident anyone on the same plane level had the ability to defeat the northern Renhuang. The northern Renhuang had not even shown his true strength yet. After all, the gap between the two in the previous battle was rather large. The combatant had failed to force his opponent to give his all. "Do you still want to fight?" the Heavenly Battle Palace's palace lord asked. The northern Renhuang looked at him and nodded before answering, "Of course." "Is anyone able to let our visitors from the north re-evaluate our Wangdu's practitioners?" Yang Jian scanned the crowd as he asked. The opponent had already shown his hand. If he continued to fight, the advantage was theirs. Since they had seen the enemy fighters, it was naturally easier for them to weigh their options. Of course, the precondition was that they needed a Renhuang at the same plane level who was strong enough. "I'd like to recommend someone." At that time, someone spoke. Instantly, gazes shifted towards the speaker. Many people's eyes lit up. It was Alchemy Divine Palace's Qi Mu. The Alchemy Divine Palace was powerful in itself. They also knew practitioners from everywhere. As the heir to the Alchemy Divine Palace, Qi Mu's vision was naturally impeccable. A cultivator recommended by him would naturally be powerful. "Please speak," Yang Jian said. Then, Qi Mu's gaze moved slowly and landed finally on Yi Futian. He smiled and said, "Earlier, some Renhuang asked Renhuang Yi about the Great Path, but Renhuang Yi did not partake. He defeated his opponent with just a glance. His strength is unfathomable. While he is only on the fourth plane, it was said that only a young palace lord is worthy of sparring with him. So, based on what Renhuang Yi said, there is no need to doubt his combat strength. If Renhuang Yi is willing, I am certain he will be able to leave a big surprise for our guests from the north." Lin Qiu and the others around Yi Futian frowned. This Qi Mu did not step forward himself but instead recommended Yi Futian. He was most certainly very calculative. Whether Yi Futian won or not, he would not lose anything from it. At the very least, he would be able to see and gauge Yi Futian's strength. "That's right, I also think that Renhuang Yi is suitable," said the cultivators from Qinhe Palace. They also wanted to see Yi Futian's strength, to see whether he could fight the powerful northern Renhuang. In an instant, the cultivators' attention had shifted to Yi Futian, and that included the cultivators from the Heavenly Battle Palace. They had earlier seen how strong Yi Futian was. While it had only been a glance, he was able to injure a Renhuang of the same level. If he were to step forward, they would have a chance. "I apologize. I am not a practitioner of Wangdu." Yi Futian glanced at Qi Mu. As the heir to Supreme Deity Donglai and after receiving so much from the Eastern Deity Island, he was not very fond of Supreme Deity Donglai's enemy, the Great Yan Ancient Royal Family. These Renhuangs followed the Great Yan Ancient Royal Family here. In addition, they came forcefully and were ruthless and cruel when they fought. He was slightly irked and annoyed by them. However, this did not mean that he would go along with what Qi Mu intended. Qi Mu's words annoyed him even more. This Qi Mu did not step forward himself and did not ask anyone from the Alchemy Divine Palace fight but had instead pushed him forward. Moreover, he said it in front of a crowd. It felt like he was trying to trap him and force him to fight. In a situation like this, trapped under the circumstances, standing amidst factions of the Dongshao continent, it seemed like he had no other choice. Otherwise, he would have to offend many people. Unfortunately, Yi Futian was just the guy who never cared. He did not need to appease anyone, and he also did not need the cultivators from Wangdu to like him. He came here because he was invited to visit. Even if the Heavenly Battle Palace were to become his enemy. Many people had odd expressions on their faces after hearing Yi Futian's reply. Were Yi Futian's words not words that cut him off from the others? "Renhuang Yi, what do you mean?" Even if you are not from Wangdu, you came from the Taiyuan continent, it is one with the Dongxiao continent. Qi Mu smiled and answered, unperturbed. He was wondering who Yi Futian was. To speak such words, it seemed quite stupid. I came with the alchemy emperor, but I am not from the Taiyuan continent, Yi Futian answered. It felt like he was doing his best to draw a line between them and separate himself from them. This confused many, while some other Renhuangs were slightly irked. Even if you don't want to fight, you don't have to do all this. If you do not identify with the Dongxiao continent, why are you here in Wangdu, sitting here? A cultivator from the Qin He Palace asked coldly. Renhuang Yi followed the alchemy emperor here. Does that need your approval? When did the Qin He Palace's jurisdiction expand so much? As for sitting here, Renhuang Yi and I were invited to come here. If you don't welcome us, we can leave, Lin Qiu, who was on the side, answered, annoyed. Then he continued, since the Alchemy Divine Palace and Qin He Palace are so amazing and heroic, why don't you step forward and fight? What's the meaning of this, constantly trying to push someone else to fight? The Alchemy Divine Palace actually touted themselves as the #1 holy land of alchemy in the Donghua domain yesterday. Why aren't you stepping forward yourself right now? Could it be that the Alchemy Divine Palace and the Qin He Palace are not factions of Wangdu? Or is it perhaps because you don't have a Renhuang who is capable of fighting? His tone was light and calm. However, it was very insulting. It made the people of the Alchemy Divine Palace and the Qin He Palace very unhappy. Enough, said Heavenly Battle Palace's Yang Jian. Only then did the people quieted down after realizing that their bickering was inappropriate. In the sky, the northern cultivators gazed at them. Mocking and cold smiles were on their faces. Did Wangdu have no one? To actually bicker among themselves to avoid a battle. Many glanced coldly at Yi Futian. It seemed like the conflict was ultimately attributed to Yi Futian. Many people were unhappy. Since no one wants to fight, what's the point of staying here? Someone mumbled. Yi Futian looked at the person who spoke. He smiled, not taking notice of that. Then he stood up and looked at Yang Jian before saying, sorry for the disruption. After that he left. With his white robe fluttering in the air, there was a sense of pride as he left. Many people looked surprised. Did he really leave? Boring. This young one will take his leave. Lin Qiu and the others also stood up to leave. He was not in a good mood after this visit. To have someone try to coerce him into a battle, he naturally understood Yi Futian's mood. Moreover, he knew Yi Futian's true identity. A person from the eastern deity island, it was possible that he was the heir to supreme deity Donglai's inheritance. Whether it was alchemy or combat strength, he was exceptional. How could someone like this not be prideful? How could he sit and be aggrieved like this, to constantly be coerced into battle? The northern cultivators came to pick a fight. If Yi Futian wanted to fight, he would do it on his own accord, not like this. If these people knew Yi Futian's true identity, the heir to the eastern deity island, who knew what they would be thinking? At that moment, the cultivators of the Heavenly Battle Palace were incredibly unhappy as they saw Yi Futian's group leave. They really did not give them any face at all. To really leave after saying it. Were they throwing a tantrum? People from the Dragon Submission Mountain range were really like those village masters, aloof in nature and very difficult to befriend. All this to avoid battle. How ridiculous, someone mocked quietly. However, no one else responded. Instead, they looked at the cultivators in the sky. At that moment, it was still not yet time to discuss Yi Futian. While they were unhappy, they could only suppress it for now. Yi Futian's group leaped into the air and left. They headed straight toward the direction of the inn. Why are you also following me? Yi Futian asked Lin Qiu, who had caught up to him. Since we came together, we will naturally leave together, answered Lin Qiu. Aren't you afraid of being isolated? Asked Yi Futian, smiling. The Dragon Submission Mountain range has always acted alone. The path of cultivation was always a lonesome journey. When was it necessary to find a mate? Lin Qiu answered indifferently. You, on the other hand, just came to Wangdu. With that, you've already offended most of the factions in Wangdu. As I said, I'm not a person of Wangdu. Why should I care? Yi Futian answered indifferently. Lin Qiu laughed and asked, The people from the north came with clearly unkind intentions. I'm afraid the heavenly battle palace is going to suffer. While you did not fight, I am still curious. If you were to fight, what would happen? As he spoke, he kept staring at Yi Futian. Clearly, Lin Xiu was curious about Yi Futian's strength. Yi Futian glanced at Lin Xiu on his side. Then, he shifted his gaze forward and answered casually, "He is not worthy of fighting me." Lin Xiu's body stopped moving for a brief moment. He blinked and looked at Yi Futian. An odd expression appeared on his face. That person was a Renhuang of the fifth plane. Moreover, his combat strength was amazing. However, Yi Futian said he was not worthy of fighting him. What confidence! Moreover, with the events that happened in the past, he believed Yi Futian. Since he said so, it was clear that there would not be any issues. So, the reason that Yi Futian did not fight was that the opponent was not worthy? Interesting. Lin Xiu smiled and continued moving forward. These people were here for the Wangshan Watchtower. He knew Yi Futian's identity, so he was sure that Yi Futian was also after the Wangshan Watchtower. This meant that they would meet again sooner or later. There were also the cultivators of Wangdu. This made him look forward to it. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 1969, Righteous Yi Futian. Chapter 1969, Righteous Yi Futian. The Renhuang of the North arrived in Wangdu in force and challenged the Renhuangs of Wangdu at the law battle platform inside the Heavenly Battle Palace. Multiple Renhuang-level law battles took place. The Wangdu camp lost more than they won. One could even say that they were overwhelmingly defeated. Many Renhuangs had also suffered severe injuries. After news of this got out, all of Wangdu was shocked. Factions from all sides were ready to make their move. It was as if a brewing storm was about to arrive. The Renhuangs who gathered at the Heavenly Battle Palace this time were not only Renhuangs from their faction. Renhuangs from all sides were also invited. Apart from some of the top factions in Wangdu, many top factions around Dongxiao continent were also there. Their lineup was most definitely very powerful. However, despite that, they were still crushed. One could only imagine just how strong the lineup of the visitors from the north was. They were definitely the elites among the elites. These powerful Renhuangs from the north were specifically handpicked before they traveled and arrived at Wangdu. That was why their battle strength was so high. It was certain. The great Yan ancient royal family was behind them. There were rumors that they had already arrived and were staying in a pavilion within Wangdu. This caused a considerable commotion very quickly inside Wangdu. Many people were already talking about it. Apart from the law battle itself, one person received a lot of attention and a lot of criticism. That person was obviously Yi Liuyan, the person who gained his fame just one day ago. Yi Liuyan earned his fame after he defeated Grandmaster Zi He in the Alchemy Conference. Many people knew him after that. According to rumors, someone challenged him a day earlier, and with just a glare, he injured the person. He was mighty. However, when a strong cultivator from the north issued a challenge during the law battle, Yi Liuyan denied any connections to Wangdu, even the entire Dongxiao continent, before leaving, avoiding battle altogether. His actions and style annoyed many people. Even if he were an amazing alchemy grandmaster, his actions were shameless, particularly when the fight involved the conflict of two sides. Everyone was caught up in the overall trend, but he actually drew a line to clearly separate him from Wangdu. How could people not criticize him for that? Who was this genius alchemy grandmaster that the alchemy emperor brought over? It seemed like his conduct was questionable. Moreover, one should not forget that the alchemy emperor and the Wangshan Watchtower were connected. According to rumors, the alchemy emperor was once handpicked by the good friend of the millet emperor, supreme deity Donglai, and who was not aware of the relationship between supreme deity Donglai and the great Yan ancient royal family. Yi Futian choosing to run away at this time would naturally invite gossip. However, Yi Futian did not mind. After he returned to the inn, he shut himself in his room and cultivated in peace. An absolute beauty suddenly appeared beside the cultivating Yi Futian. Senior sister, Yi Futian called out after seeing that Goddess Donglai was the one who came. Why didn't you lend a hand? Asked Goddess Donglai calmly. No one could tell her emotion from her tone. I did not want to, so I didn't, answered Yi Futian laughing. Didn't want to? Goddess Donglai looked at him. Yi Futian raised his head and looked at the cold and prideful figure before saying, I inherited the path of supreme deity Donglai. Does senior sister think that a Renhuang of the same plane from the north is a worthy opponent? Goddess Donglai's eyes twitched slightly as she continued staring at him. Since the people from the great Yen ancient royal family have not acted, would I not be devaluing myself by entering the law battle platform? How could I live up to the name of the heir of the supreme deity if that were the case? Answered Yi Futian with a smile. Then, he continued, I'm sure senior sister knows as well. If I were to act before the cultivators from the great Yen ancient royal family appeared, the eastern deity island would also lose face. Goddess Donglai looked at him. What Yi Futian said sounded very sensible. As the heir of supreme deity Donglai, his opponent should be someone from the great Yen ancient royal family. Since the great Yen ancient royal family had not even made an appearance, what was the reason for him to act? As she thought of that, Goddess Donglai no longer brought it up. Instead, she said, there are many rumors about you circulating outside. Many practitioners know that you live here. Many are gossiping, and I'm afraid some may try to create commotions. To ruin my name. I've just come. Why would someone do this? Asked Yi Futian. To prevent you from entering the Wangshan watchtower, answered Goddess Donglai. Yi Futian was stunned briefly. In that instant he suddenly understood. With his talent and strength in alchemy, if he were to get in touch with the Millet Emperor after entering the Wangshan watchtower, he could threaten the position of the Alchemy Divine Palace directly in the future. If his name were ruined, and if news of him drawing a line to segregate him from Wangdu were to reach the ears of the practitioners of the Wangshan watchtower, it would be natural for them to form an opinion about him and impact his chances of getting into the Wangshan watchtower. Unfortunately, the enemy's efforts were in vain. First of all, Yi Futian had no intention of entering the Wangshan watchtower to cultivate. Secondly, with the relationship between the Millet Emperor and Supreme Deity Donglai, the enemy would probably not prevent anything from happening. Moreover, Yi Futian's strength was there. Even without the relationship with Supreme Deity Donglai, he would still meet the Millet Emperor eventually. Go and cultivate. I'll find you when you visit the Wangshan watchtower, said Goddess Donglai before leaving. Moments after she left the place, someone else came, albeit in a sneaky manner. He glanced in the direction where Goddess Donglai left. Yi Futian glanced toward this person and asked, What are you doing, sneaking around? Lin Qiu smiled, walked over, and returned to his usual demeanor. He was only suspicious before, but now it was proven. However, Goddess Donglai did not seem to do anything even after discovering him. Obviously, she did not really care. He walked over and sat beside Yi Futian. Then, he asked in a whisper, the descendant of the supreme deity? While he arrived earlier, he did not dare to eavesdrop. After all, it was quite disrespectful. He only knew that Goddess Donglai had come to see Yi Futian. The powerful deity was most probably the daughter of supreme deity Donglai. Yi Futian followed her here, which meant that entering the Wangshan watchtower was probably not an issue. Yi Futian glared at him but did not respond. However, to Lin Qiu, not responding meant that he was acquiescing. His eyes lit up. The way he looked at Yi Futian was like someone looking at their treasure. Since you are the disciple of the supreme deity's descendant, you probably came from the eastern deity island, right? Do you perhaps have a miraculous and divine elixir or pill that you could lend me on you? At that moment, Lin Qiu no longer cared about his demeanor. Who was supreme deity Donglai? The #1 alchemy grandmaster of the Donghua domain. Since Yi Futian was his successor, he should not lack divine pills or elixirs, right? Of course I do, answered Yi Futian. Lin Qiu's eyes lit up even more. He was restless. Happiness came too suddenly. But why should I lend them to you? Yi Futian looked at him condescendingly while smiling. Could someone lend a pill or an elixir? Was it even possible for it to be returned? You devour it right away, no? That was the first time he heard of someone borrowing pills and elixirs. We're all brothers. We should share our blessings. Lin Qiu seemed to have forgotten his decency at that moment. Yi Futian looked at Lin Qiu. When did they become brothers? And to share their blessings? Noticing Yi Futian's expression, Lin Qiu said, Brother Yi, in the future, this young brother will only follow Brother Ye's lead. Yi Futian looked at Lin Qiu. This person was still a mid-level Renhuang. His aura was decent, and he had a strong background. However, he was so shameless. Now that a rather reputable Renhuang had already displayed such shameless behavior, what else could Yi Futian do? He brought out a clay bottle, passed it to Lin Qiu, and said, There are several divine pills inside, all of which are my treasures. The deities left them for me, but now I am giving them to you. This is sharing my blessings. So, the misfortune in the future. I'll leave it to you. As he finished speaking, he patted Lin Qiu's shoulder. Lin Qiu was so grateful that tears almost rolled out of his eyes. I will give my everything. Lin Qiu's eyes were red. He stretched out his hands to receive the clay bottle. He held the bottle with a lot of strength but did not take it. He looked at the reluctant Yi Futian and continued, I will not hesitate to lay down my life to go through the depths of hell for you. Yi Futian finally let go. His gaze continued to linger on the clay bottle. Lin Qiu quickly packed it up. How could he afford Yi Futian the chance to feel regret? Brother Yi, I will not interrupt your cultivation anymore. I still have some matters that I need to attend to. If Brother Yi has any orders, please look for me at any time. As he finished speaking, Lin Qiu turned around to leave. He could not have moved any quicker. Yi Futian blinked a few times as he saw Lin Qiu leave. Shameless. He had never seen such a shameless Renhuang. What a pity for his treasured pills. He extended his hand. A clay bottle identical to the one earlier appeared in his hands. He opened the clay bottle and took out the pills within it. Then, he threw them into his mouth before devouring them in one go. In an instant, strands of powerful aura began to fluctuate around his body. Such valuable pills. Was it easy for him to make them? He only had a few hundred bottles left on him. The following day, Lin Qiu had come to Yi Futian's side again. However, it was not only Lin Qiu. He also brought along two brothers, Han Tai and Ling Yi. They were all descendants of the three lords of the Dragon Submission Villa. The Lin Qiu of that moment had completely changed. His plane level seemed to have improved. His face was bright, and he looked very energetic. The three of them bowed together at the same time when they found Yi Futian. In particular, Lin Qiu looked at Yi Futian with gratitude and said, Thank you, Brother Yi, for giving us such valuable pills. The pills were high-class divine pills that could solidify one's path fundamentals. After taking them, the fundamentals of one's great path would stabilize further, while one's life force would become vigorous and energy levels would also go up. Cultivating for a day would result in a marked improvement of one's plane level. Where would anyone find such amazing divine pills? Yi Futian's generosity was commendable. How could someone not be so grateful when shown such generosity? Yi Futian glanced at them and waved his hands. Then he said, Since we are all brothers now, don't be so formal. Those pills were given to me by the deities so that I could break through my plane level. Since you needed them, I gave them to you. I can cultivate a few more decades for that. It is only a few decades. It's nothing big, this. The three of them were endlessly thankful. They were completely subdued by Yi Futian's generosity. He was a real brother whose righteousness and generosity had pierced the skies. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.